Okay, let's call this meeting to order. ANC 6E is called to order at 6:36. I apologize for the few minutes of late, whatever, but we're here and we're going to get through this agenda in lickety-split time tonight. Okay, so we need to have the attendance. Antonio, do you need a, you want the mic?
No, I'll get that.
I think you can be heard.
Good evening, and I'm here to call the quorum. ANC 6E01.
Present.
2 here, 3
Present.
4,
Here.
5,
Here.
6 here, 7 absent.
Okay, thank you so much. We have a quorum, so we can get the meeting going. I have, is 400 K Street here? They may come in, that would be an addition. It's a public space, outdoor patio concern, which I gave you all the information on, and we may add them, but I did tell them the way they have it set up, I could not support it. So we can talk about it if they show up. Okay. Has everyone read the minutes? Last month's minutes?
Or approve the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Approval of the agenda. Anyone have anything to add?
We Dr. Moore, that was not coming back.
Who's not coming?
Just, that was Roman.
You were right, Mr. Owens. Okay.
And I would just suggest that we move item 5, bylaws adoption, to the end of new business, since that would be painfully boring to most of the folks in the audience.
Gotcha. Okay, so number 5 is being moved to the end of the meeting. Any other changes to the agenda? Okey-doke.
Move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Second? A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it is approved that the agenda is approved. Did everyone get a chance to look at last month's minutes? Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes as written?
I move that we approve the minutes of the April ANC meeting with corrections to be submitted.
Okay. Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, PSA. I know you guys are here, I saw you.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Good evening, everyone. Sergeant Peter Sheldon, PSA 103. Lieutenant Murphy is working midnights this week, so I'm here in his place. Just to run down, statistically, break up for the last year-to-date crimes compared to last year. Our overall violent crime is down 9%. Robberies are down 21%. Assault with deadly weapons are up 18%. So the total, the net difference would be last year we had 43 violent crimes. This year we have 39. Going to property crimes, we have a reduction of 19%. Theft is down 18%. Theft from auto is down 30%. However, we've seen a spike in stolen autos over the last 7 days around the Searcham Corda area. We've had, I believe, 5 or 7 in the last, well, 5 in the last 7 days, cars stolen in that area. So we've had a net property crimes of 293 last year, and this year 238, so it's a 19% reduction. Other than the stolen autos, we've seen no spike in trends of crimes in the area of your portion of the 1st District. Does anybody have any questions or need anything from 1D?
No, thank you so much for, would you please tell your commander, thank you
I will.
for recommending me for the Police Educational Academy that's going to be happening.
Gotcha, I will do that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Officer Berlin from PSA 308. My patrol area, just to remind you guys, is from Rhode Island Avenue to Andorra, and then from 5th Street to 9th Street. So I'm basically going to talk about As you can see from the sheet, district-wide, the only difference from last year is we're up 2 in robberies, non-gun robberies. Everything else is down in the 3rd district. But I want to speak specifically about the PSA that I patrol, and which anybody that's here would probably live in 308 that's attending this meeting. So there's a couple things I want to touch on. We had 1 robbery. That was in 900 R Street. They didn't get anything. They fled in a vehicle. We had no burglaries. Our biggest issue still, other than the shootings, which I'm going to touch on, I know that's going to be a large possibility that you're going to have some questions on that, a large issue with you guys, as it should be, is the thefts from auto. And it's concentrated in 2 areas, Marion Street and the 400 block of Q Street. So, again, any visitors you have, out-of-state plates, make sure they bring the articles in to the home at night, or put it in the trunk, not in the hatchback where they can see it in the window, because if they see anything of value that they think that they want to obtain, they're going to break your window and then worry about it later as to whether or not they want anything inside the vehicle. So that's really our biggest issue, other than the 2 shootings that I'm sure you're well aware of. There's 1 incidence of a sound of gunshots on the 600 block of O Street. Nobody was hit, but the 2 actual shootings where people got hit occurred April 20th and April 26th. I'll touch on April 20th first. It happened at 9:50 in the morning, the 1300 block of number 8th Street. The victim survived. The individuals who fled in a vehicle were all identified, and it's a pending investigation. My assumption is that there's going to be warrants issued and there will be arrests in that case. The individual was shot 3 times. On April 26th, there was a shooting in the 600 block of P. It happened at 23:32 hours. It's 11:32 in the evening. It's an individual the individual that got shot is known to us. He's a member of the 7th and O crew, as it were, and I'm not going to mention his name here, but he also survived. He got shot in the leg. Seen fleeing the scene was a dark colored Jeep Liberty, which I'm sure you guys have read on all the Twitters and Instagrams and so forth and so on. Basically, what we're seeing here is that, obviously the weather's getting warmer and more people are outside, and every year the same thing happens. You get more sounds of gunshots, and unfortunately, sometimes they hit the target and you get your shootings. Does anybody have any questions about this specific area, about the shootings that occurred, or anything that you want to know that I can possibly help you out with? Go ahead, sir.
I believe that the shooting that took place a couple of weeks ago, I was coming home, decided to go to Giant about 10 o'clock at night, and I ran into from peaceful Fifth Street at that particular time of the night onto Oak Street. There were literally 8, 9 cops, a bus, 2 buses, and there were 200 people in the street.
Okay, that was an actual sound of gunshot incident, separate from the 2 I just alluded to. I wasn't on duty. I got off early that day because I was working in another part of the city on an earlier tour. But that was the result, from what I'm told by my fellow officers. There was a party going on in and around the Kennedy Rec Center Park all day long. It was, I guess they call it a go-go. I don't know what that is specifically, but apparently it's a large gathering of individuals. There was a lot of drinking going on that day, and apparently one of the people from the 7th and O area drove their ATV down to 8th and R, and then there was some sort of conflict between the 8th and R crew and the 7th and O crew, which resulted in the 8th and R individuals, from what I'm told and the intel that we have, came back and shot into a crowd of people on 7th and O. And then the police responded, and it escalated beyond what it should have, and there was an assault on a police officer that night, and it got cleaned up, and obviously fortunately nobody was hit with gunfire that evening. So, but we're certainly on top of making sure that we disperse the larger crowds going forward, specifically on the weekends.
How long that crowd was in place?
I wasn't down on my beat that day. I was on a detail for the civil disturbance unit in another part of the city.
Okay.
So I can't give you anything other than I just told you about how long they were there. If I was there, I probably would have, been able to give you better information on that.
Also, on, 2 nights ago, Fifth Street, at the corner of Fifth and O, young gentleman, looked like he was about 16 or 19, was stopped. He was riding a moped, but it was like 8 cops out there. I'm like, what in the world is going on? So I was really curious what was taking place.
I have no
I don't know
idea.
if they're
It happens periodically if somebody calls and says, I saw somebody with a gun in their waistband, or I saw somebody doing hand-to-hand, and they'll call 911 and say, hey, will you respond to this area? And we go. And fortunately for me and the rest of the guys I work with, a lot of other people respond to back us up. So that's probably a product of what you were seeing was people coming to back up their fellow officers. But there's nothing in specific that I know about that incident. Now, if something had come of it, a serious arrest, then I would have been aware of it. Is there any other questions about the goings on in the area?
I'm
Sir?
wondering whether or not ShotSpotter is, being used to try to triangulate the locations of these shooting or sounds of gunfire events. I mean, I've had a couple of exchanges with the commander in which there have been instances where there were reports of shots fired, but apparently no contacts from ShotSpotter. So is ShotSpotter working?
ShotSpotter, from what I see when I read that, we have a CIC report every morning, which is the serious crimes that happen in the area. There are shootings that happen where people are killed in the city, and ShotSpotter does not pick up the shots fired. We sometimes get a transmission from our dispatcher saying ShotSpotter detected 6 gunshots at 6 and 0. So the system is working. It doesn't always, it's an imperfect system, I think. It doesn't always pick up, sometimes it picks up firecrackers, but doesn't pick up gunshots and vice versa. So we do have 3 incidences that ShotSpotter did pick it up. New Jersey and R on 430, 600N on 5-3, and 1312 6th Street on 5-3 were picked up by ShotSpotter. Those were all calls for sounds of gunshots, and CCN numbers were drawn on each one of those instances.
Thanks.
Has Lieutenant Green been replaced yet?
Lieutenant Green was replaced temporarily by Lieutenant Kanuski, who's also the 307, PSA 307 lieutenant. So he's currently, for the time being, handling PSA 307 and 308. So, yeah. Ultimately, we'll get a permanent or a quasi-permanent, nothing's permanent in this department, somebody to replace Lieutenant Green, who I miss dearly, by the way. He was a very, very good lieutenant. He's in NSID now, which is our narcotics division. Anything else? If you see me on the street, stop me if you want to talk. If you have anything you want to tell me about, questions, complaints, advice, stock tips, anything. All right, nice to see you guys again.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you coming. Alex, would you like to present the African study?
There are a number of liquor store ABC permits that are coming up for renewal. The ABC Licensing Committee of the ANC met to review each of these and made a recommendation that the Commission support the renewals of each of these. I'll run through them quickly. First is Guilford Liquors at 446 Rhode Island Avenue Northwest. Tunnel Fine Wines and Spirits, 311 H Street Northwest. Logan Circle Liquors, 1018 Rhode Island Avenue Northwest. Log Cabin Liquor, 1748 7th Street Northwest. 425, I Street Cellars, 425 I Street Northwest. Capital City Wine and Spirits, 500 K Street Northwest. And I understand there is also a renewal, which I did not find online, for Kiflu's Liquor.
Yes.
And are you in support of that one as well?
Oh, of course, yeah, they're good.
And the address there is 500 F Street?
No, they actually have a Fifth Street address. I think it's 1200 Fifth Street.
1200
Or
Fifth Street?
1201 or something like that.
It would be 1201.
Yeah.
1201 Fifth Street Northwest. So, that having been said, these liquor stores are in several single member districts. If the commissioners that are responsible will allow me to make a motion so we can pass this recommendation en bloc. Thank you very much. I move that Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6E support the renewals of the Guilford Liquor, Tunnel Fine Wines and Spirits, Logan Circle Liquors, Log Cabin Liquors, I Street Cellars, Capital City Wine and Spirits, and Kiflu's. What's the full name of Kiflu's?
Okay,
It's just Kiflu's. Abra licenses, and that we report that support to the ABC Board and the Alcoholic Beverage Regulatory Administration.
I'll second.
A second from Kevin. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, so it's 5 in favor, 1 opposed. I have to stop and count. Oh, why are you looking at me funny, right? Okay, we are moving our bylaw information to the bottom of the agenda, so the art project for 5th and K Street is next on the agenda.
Hi, my name is Todd Dangle. I am Executive VP for Mark Park. We operate the parking lot on 5th and K, 500 New York Avenue. We also operate 425 I Street. 500 New York was actually Mark Park's first parking lot, so we've been there for a long time. And we wanted to do an art project along the fence line of 5th and K. We've noticed that there's that part of town is a focal point, and we had been looking to do something along those lines. So in conjunction with the SID, the Mount Vernon Triangle SID, we set out to do an art project on that corner fence line. At that point, I spoke to the ownership of the property, as well as us, and we've put some funds together, and we had the fortunate opportunity to meet Deirdre McWilliams, and she's a curator, a well-known curator in DC, who's done several projects, and so she set out to find an artist for us to not only to find artwork that we feel that would be appropriate for that park and that area, but to really review different artists and to find something that would really beautify that area and really join the neighborhood and that focal point together. So with that, I'll let Deirdre talk directly about the artwork project that we're working on.
So I'm Deirdre Allen McWilliams, and I am a public art project manager and a curator here in DC. Some of the projects you may be familiar with is the Foggy Bottom Sculpture Biennial or the Georgetown Glow Festival, were just some of the public art projects that I've worked on. Just so you know that I've done public art before. So in working with Mark Park and the SID, we identified an artist. Her name is Rachel Schmidt. She's a local artist, and we decided that we were going to create a wrap around the chain link fence, an artistic wrap by Rachel, a design. And Rachel's aesthetic is sort of thinking about cities and the futures of cities. So taking images from different cities from around the world, from Washington, D.C., from Mount Vernon Triangle, and sort of collaging these images. In a way, the artwork will sort of be a Where's Waldo? Where is that? Is that in Mount Vernon Triangle? Or is that in Turkey? Is that in Rome? It's sort of, you're not really sure, but the images seem really familiar as well. So it's this sort of collaging of images and this sort of also integration of wildlife as well, sort of being incorporated into the artwork. And there will be different points. The artwork will be up for 6 months, so we're hoping sometime in May, and will be de-installed in November. It's about 160 square feet of coverage, so if you know the corner of 5th and K, where the parking lot entrance is, it will start at the entrance and then wrap around to the bike share station. So it is a sort of large square footage of art, sort of covering a chain link fence, to sort of beautify it with unique site-specific public art.
And one of the things from our perspective, obviously, if something is covering that fence line, safety was a precaution. So one of the really great things that they were able to do is come up with a mesh that you could actually see through without hurting the integrity of the art. And actually, I think it's going to enhance it a little bit because you can see through it, but it still retains its work. So something we're really excited about that we wanted to share.
And we're hoping to have some public programming where you can meet the artist at a farmer's market, you can hear from her. There may be a question posed within the artwork where we actually ask people to call in to give us, what does your city look like in the future? What do you want to see here in the future? And then getting people to respond to that via social media or a call-in number, and then somehow having those messages or voices heard in another way, through another medium. I'm not really sure what that could be. That could be at a viewing or a listening, something at Northside, or at Busboys and Poets. I don't know, we could publish the comments, or we can stream them somehow so you can hear them. But in a way, asking and posing a question to the community and getting feedback creates another art piece on its own, and sort of hearing directly from community members, not just people that live in Mount Vernon Triangle, but work and play there as well.
And important to note that we were able to raise this money privately from some of the developers that are going to be coming into this area, that are already in this area. So it was good collaborative effort there to raise money to beautify that fence line.
This is in my single member district. I have a couple of questions. Are we going to see this before it gets put up? That's question number one. And is there going to be some sort of a public meeting so people can get input or give input before? I had been told this was going up on May 15th, but nothing has gone through the community yet.
Yeah, so the install we have planned, that we've been coordinating with the SID in Mark Park, is May 18th. We weren't going to show the artwork before we've unveiled it. We sort of wanted it to be a surprise. It's a temporary public art project. It's privately funded. So we were just sort of put it up there with other points of engagement. I think, Marge, if you want to sit down next week, I'd be more than happy to show you some of the renderings. It's a quick turnaround, so we've been working quickly on that. But that wasn't something that we had intended or planned on doing. The way for engagement that we were thinking for this piece, that was most meaningful for this piece in this corner, was this idea of posing a question, hearing from people, and then somehow making that publicly available or using that in some way to get people's feedback.
There'll definitely be a forum for folks to comment and to give feedback on the artwork, which can then be intrinsic with any other work that's planned.
And could spur even another public project.
Exactly.
I guess, can I ask Claire then, when we spoke of this project, we talked about doing the history of Mount Vernon Square, but now I'm being told it's animals and other things, so that whole concept of the history of Mount Vernon is no longer.
Can I just make a quick comment about that? So the piece is really about the evolving city. and how cities evolve and change over time. At least my over a decade here living in DC have seen things so rapidly change. And the piece is about this evolving city. And we have taken images from Mount Vernon Triangle specifically, and from Washington DC, and from other cities, and put it into this piece. So I think that in many ways you'll see your neighborhood and your city reflected into this artwork, while at the same time thinking a little bit broader about the idea of city.
To me, I mean, I'm saying just from my own personal perspective and from what maybe some other constituents might say. I mean, I think it's pretty exciting. Something different than a chain link fence,
Yeah.
certainly. And if it's temporary, great. And if you're quality, I assume that's your quality. And it doesn't seem that we have, since it is private, and more private, am I correct?
Right.
That we don't have much say, so.
But that's why
Well, we're here, that's why we're
Yeah,
here.
so
We're
just for
here.
presentation,
Yeah,
right?
that's why we're here.
Yeah. I mean, I would be excited by it, because I like, oh, great.
We feel like, obviously, for the first project and for doing something that all will see, we're gonna do something that we believe is gonna excite the neighborhood, so.
Better than nothing, which is what it's up now
Right.
and ugly, so.
Why is it only 6 months? Is the building actually going to start on that site?
No, we just don't want the integrity of the work to be affected, and you're kind of getting into the winter months, and so we don't want the integrity of the work diminished.
So if I can make a comment, public art, really should excite and animate the community. I think there was a missed opportunity here in terms of outreach. It sounds like there was a miscommunication as well in terms of what was promised and what's being delivered. So even if it's being privately funded, the community should have, the opportunity to say, we think this is a wonderful idea, and we encourage you to move forward this way, or if there are concerns, it's an opportunity to try to raise those. So I would certainly encourage you to work with your commissioner closely for future iterations, and perhaps this art can be something that can be a feature of the time where the construction will be taking place on the site. So that you don't just have the ordinary construction company scrim, along the perimeter.
That's being taken into consideration, duly noted. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda, Will Jones from Bible Way actually emailed to each of us the police permit information that we had asked for last month, so unfortunately, he's not here now, is he? Okay, he said he didn't think he was going to be able to make it, so I just want to make sure that everybody knows that that was turned in to us, and I'm assuming we do not have to take any action? No, okay, because they got their permit. Okay, very good. It's been a long time coming. But Eric Kluger, Bicycle Space, is coming back to Mount Vernon Triangle. Yay! Eric, would you like to tell us about your new project?
Thank you very much, Marge. It's a pleasure to be here before you guys again. And I'd like to say something to the audience, if I may, before I get into it. If you work with the ANC and you listen to these guys and you get to know them and you talk with them and you do good things for the community, they can be assets for you which are immeasurable in their effectiveness and power. So I urge everybody to, number one, be good for the community. Number two, get to know these guys. They dedicate volunteer time to make our place better. So, as you may know, we started out in the Mount Vernon Triangle in a decrepit old building, which we poured all our life savings into, turned into a bike shop, which was change of use. We had no idea what we were getting into. almost went broke in the process. And as soon as we got up and going, we were moved out because the building was sold, and we went up onto 7th Street and opened up a shop there, got a better lease, and became pretty successful. And then, wouldn't you know it, before 2-3 years were up, the whole block pretty much was sold, and we were asked to leave. And this time we had a better lease, and then we started looking for places to go. And you know, we've been bounced around in the area of several blocks of the city, which we consider our home. You know, the area was characterized by a new building here, a new building there, and a bunch of parking lots in between, and all kinds of stuff you don't see now. And we built a base out of it. We made our shop like a community center, and that's one of the things that still characterizes us right now. But when we were looking for a space, it turned out we had an opportunity to move back pretty much in the backyard of our first place, which was on I Street. So we're going to be moving into 440 K Street. We have a real lease, a 10-year lease. It's a brand new, clean place. It's going to be unlike any bike shop you've ever seen. We're going to put wood floors in it. Swatch Room, who you may know, who's up here on 9th Street, they did the offices for Twitter in DC, and they went out to San Francisco and did the head offices after those guys saw the installation here in DC. Well, they're doing a big art installation in the shop for us. Actually, in 3 of the shops that we're opening up. So it's going to be really cool. And so with the wood floors, it's a huge space. It's going to be, at the time it opens, if we don't open another shop before this, it'll be the biggest bike shop in DC. Like I said, wood floors, that means free yoga every Monday night. We'll try to do it on Saturdays too if we can find volunteer teachers. We do 6 group rides per week. I lead every Sunday ride. There's 2 rides, a Nice and Easy ride and a City Explorers ride.